Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 199 of the Alamodome Audible Podcast. Adrian, we're so close to 200, baby.
Oh my gosh.
This is your co-host, Jared Kalmus. I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Adrian Bermudez. What's my adjective of the week? I don't know. I need to plan them coming into the pod recording, so I'm not scrambling. I'll say the enterprising Adrian Bermudez.
Okay. Yeah. What is good? What is up? What is happening? Yes, we're here, Jared. Still undefeated in CUSA. Somehow, some way, we managed to find a way, baby. So yeah, feeling good, feeling great. On the verge of turning 30 years old in a couple of days. So yeah, massive things happening in my life right now.
So I picked enterprising because Adrian's teasing me with a new Alamodome Audible merch option, which will be dropping soon. Like, we keep saying that, like, we're about to drop new merch, and dude, we like every week we're doing something new for merch, and we're finally almost there. We thought that we were there a couple times. We had some setbacks.
So close. We had some stuff. We're just trying to make sure that it's right. We're trying to make sure that it's done well and that it's easy for you guys and that you guys just love all of it, right? And so we have very high expectations for the product that we deliver here at Alamodome Audible. As Jared always likes to say, take pride in our work. And yeah, man, we want to make sure that we deliver that to our merch store as well. But keep your eyes open, because it's coming soon. I think you guys are going to love it. Keep your wallets open. There's going to be a bunch of stuff you're going to want to get, a bunch of gear you're going to want to get. Yeah.
So like I said, we're so close to 200, and we've been talking for many months. Like, we want to do something special for 200. I don't think we really celebrated the 100th episode in any meaningful way, shape, or form.
Yeah, just kind of like some on the pod celebration with each other.
Like, we threw a party for our 100th Patreon subscriber, which was great. So if we get like 60 new subscribers, like in the next couple of weeks, we'll throw another one for the end of the season. So tell your friends, tell your granny, tell your aunties,
let them know.
But we do want to do something special for 200, and what we came up with is, if you guys so choose, record a voice memo on your phone or your laptop or whatever. And, just a couple of seconds, a minute, whatever. Maybe share, a memory you have of the show. What are your favorite moments on listening to the podcast?
Favorite moments hanging out with us? If you've hung out with
anything. Is there anything that you would like to share with the Alamodome Audible community, with the Dome heads? Please record it and send it our way. You can DM either of us on Twitter. You can DM the Alamo Audible Twitter account, or you can email us at alamodomeaudible@gmail.com if that's easier.
Did you just on the fly come up with a name for our audience?
I feel like I've said that before. It hasn't stuck. It hasn't stuck, but I think I've said it before.
I don't recall hearing it. I freaking love it. The Dome heads. Wow. Yes. What is up, Dome heads? We are here.
I feel like it's kind of lame to name our own fan base. So like, the fans should name themselves, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. The challenge has been laid.
I mean, if the people like Dome heads, we'll roll with Dome heads.
Yeah. Maybe someone could think of something that people like as well. And, you know, we can poll it. But we do need a name for the audience. Trying to figure out forever. First, we had aspirations. Before the Domies Award Show, we thought of doing Domies like homies, but then the Domies Award Show came out, and so we can't do the double entendre there. It's just confusing. It's too much. So yeah. If you guys have any suggestions, it's crazy, Jared, is you bringing up that 100 Patreon party that we had at the block last season. Do you recall which game that party was on the eve of?
I thought it was UAB.
It was UAB, sir. It was UAB. And Oscar Cardenas' catch that won the West. And so how ironic you bring up that party on the eve of UAB here on the UAB recap for 2022. Fantastic. UTSA 44, UAB 38 after 2 overtimes. Jesus, Jared, I'm losing years off of my life every single time we have to watch this team play. Even when you think it's all good. It's never quite all good. We always have to pull it out at the end. Gosh, it's almost infuriating, but you got to love it.
I think that's probably the number one takeaway from this game is how the hell did this game go to overtime?
Dude, hard fought, right? Tough win. And it was a good win. It was a great win. But look, the advanced stats, Parker Stats of War had it, I think it was like 49 to 51% odds of winning. So it was all 50-50 odds. Vegas had an even spread. And so we knew it was going to be neck and neck. But dude, watching the game, it didn't feel like it was neck and neck. It felt like UTSA should have won that game by 20 points, by 3 possessions. Yet somehow it took 2 overtimes for us to claw out of there. And I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, UTSA was definitely the better team. And UAB played really poorly, really disorganized, really poorly coached. But I think it's a testament to the talent on that roster and the leadership that they have. I think it was Noah Wilder that I saw in the Jumbotron at Protective Stadium, giving like some fiery, impassioned speech to the guys heading into overtime. So whoever gets that job, I think, is stepping into a really good situation because UTSA is a good team. I think they played well in all areas of the game. Like they gave up a lot of yards to UAB, but I didn't think the defense was that bad. I mean, you look at like the 2 big runs from Dwayne McBride, and it's like, what can you do? He's a monster. I think Jake Mazzino played really well for UAB too. You see him getting better every game.
He played great. He played really good. He improved throughout those 4 quarters. He played better as that game went on. And I think Traylor said in the media roundtable that UAB got a majority of their yards on like 12 plays.
I think so. Yeah.
I think he's pretty spot on with that. But because I mean, watching this game, it felt like UTSA, well, they were running away with it. It felt like they should have completely ran away with it. But then you look at the box score, Jared, UAB outgains UTSA by 59 total yards. They were better in both rushing and passing offense, but they also had way more mistakes than UTSA.
They had a lot of mistakes.
A ton, 10 penalties, 6 of them happening pre-snap.
I think 5 of them were probably false starts.
Yeah, dude. Home. And at one point, like it was visibly infuriating to guys on the field. I think Zeno like showed some visible frustration, throwing his hands up. Yeah,
I'll tell you what Zeno was really upset about was how slow Bryant Vincent was to get the play call in from the sideline. They couldn't snap the ball with more than 10 seconds on the play clock at all, like throughout the whole game. And it was like kind of funny to watch as a UTSA supporter, but I also like really felt for UAB fans because it was just like the Frank Wilson era. And it was giving me hell of flashbacks.
They were running no huddles. They were getting up to the line, right? And like they were ready to keep it going, but the calls just weren't coming in.
It made it hard. Made it hard for Zeno to like read the defense pre-snap or to make any adjustments. I don't know if they trust him enough to make audibles at the line. But, I thought that was really tough for a young quarterback to be put in that situation. And it was funny because I've been to a lot of road games and I've been at games in some scenarios where the fan base was just completely like the home fan base was completely fed up. But I didn't expect it so much for UAB, right? Still at that point, they were still not eliminated from conference championship contention, still have a slight chance to a bowl game. They certainly could have had a bowl game if they had pulled off the win against UTSA. But the way that the fans around me were reacting to the game, like almost from the first whistle, was insane. Like they are so fed up. Like you would have thought like UAB was, 1-11, the way the fans were, suffering in the stands and yelling and screaming at Brian Vincent. It was almost surreal, but I didn't grasp it at first until the game went along. And then I saw just how poorly managed that team was because it really felt like the coaching staff is really holding them back. And this team could be just as good as we thought they were going to be. If you were to swap coaching staffs between UTSA and UAB. It's
like they played that well against UTSA despite the coaching staff's limitations on that team. Yeah. A lot of talent on there, man. But 10 penalties, 3 sacks, an interception. Those are the difference makers in this game. It really is.
That play call on 4th and 2 to have McBride lined up like parallel with the quarterback, and they run a counter on 4th and 2 when the defense is just collapsing on McBride.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst play calls I've ever seen, man. That was hilariously bad.
Yeah.
And Brandon Brown just shot right through and wrecked him. I think Adrian Taylor got in on that tackle too. That was just funny to watch. The game should have been over at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of points that the game should have been over, to be fair.
There were a lot. Both teams perfect in the red zone, though. UTSA goes 7 for 7. UAB goes 4 for 4 on their red zone trips.
It's so impressive to go 7 and 7, man.
That's ridiculous. But Jared, 3 of those 7 field goals, or 2, 3. Oh, I don't think all those field goals were in the red zone. He had one that was 46 yards.
Yeah, and that one was into the wind. I don't think people appreciated that kick. That's why Jared Sackett was Conference USA Special Team Player of the Week. The wind was crazy at that stadium. And the stadium is built down a little bit, so it does cut off a little bit of the wind. But that was a really, really impressive kick. And it would have been good from another 5 to 8 yards, I would say.
Sure would have. Yeah.
And that's one of the points I have on my notes here is UTSA special team across the board. Fantastic.
Unreal.
Absolutely fantastic. Sackett was automatic. Punting was decent and strong. And then, of course, there was the onside recovery. Tate Sandell perfectly placed onside kick. Great job scouting that they were leaving early, just like the Longhorns did. They got that one against UT. They got it against UAB as well.
Yeah.
Kyle Wakefield delivers a crushing hit to make sure that Sandell can grab that ball. And then Tate has the perfect celebration with the slash of the throat or whatever it was that somehow didn't get flagged for taunting.
Yeah, freaking signal possession Roadrunners after the throat slash. Just incredible, man. Got him a couple yards on the run after the recovery. Yeah, just a fantastically heads up play. But to that point, Jared, as great as a kickoff specialist Tate Sandell is, this team has got to get a place kicker that can kick it into the end zone.
Yeah.
If not out of it, at least into it. Look, UTSA only returns 2 kickoffs for 40 yards. UAB returns 6 kickoffs for 129 yards. It's only 1.5 yards better on the average, but they got 4 more attempts at kickoffs to bring them upfield and put them in more favorable field position.
That's a good point.
Can't kick it out of the end zone. And as great of a special teams performance as it was, man, we got to get someone on the roster that could kick it into the end zone, man. That's a killer.
Yeah, so we'll see if Sandell can develop that leg. I think he's only a freshman this year.
I think you might be right. Not positive. Yeah. Let me check.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he grows into his leg a little bit and he's able to boot it a little bit further. But yeah, I mean, while the kickoff coverage was great from UTSA, it's better to just not have to worry about it. Exactly. Just how UAB was and North Texas was the week before that, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, he's a freshman. He's a true freshman. UTSA is better on third down. 9 for 15 on third down to UAB's 6 out of 14. Another key to the game here, Jared. You got UAB making their mistakes. You got UTSA executing when they needed to. Mm-hmm. Crucial third down conversions on that. Whereas I think 2 of those 3 sacks that UTSA had were on third downs for UAB. Jacob Zito just getting absolutely manhandled on his blind side, right? One by Corey Mayfield and then one by, I can't remember that other one was.
Nick Booker Brown had one of the third down sacks, I think.
Nick Booker Brown had the third down sack. Yep, you're right.
Yeah. Oh, that was that last possession in the double.
Oh, and Trey Moore had the very first one in the first quarter. He had that sack on the third down, explodes off the stunt, right? Yeah. It was super nice.
Don't look now, but Trey Moore is actually on pace to pretty much match Clarence Hicks's numbers from last year.
That's insane.
Isn't that crazy?
Very quietly. Yeah. He's
as a redshirt freshman
over the place this season. Yeah.
Yeah. No one saw that one coming this year. But as far as the third down conversions goes, I mean, several factors in that. First off, I mean, Frank Harris is so much more experienced and in control of his offense than Zeno was. Mm-hmm. Zeno very talented. But I think you can see that he still has some growing to do, some development to do. And you can see why he got passed up at Baylor and had to transfer out. Secondly, secondarily, I don't know. Time zone change has got me all kinds of messed up.
Okay.
But Josh Cephas was so clutch on third down. He had some huge catches on some really, really tight windows.
Yeah.
Third of all, and to segue to my next point that I want to gush over, UTSA dominated the trenches against a team that rarely loses in the trenches. And I was so impressed.
A team that was the number one total defense in conference.
Yeah. This is a completely retooled offensive line for UTSA. They're missing a lot of their top guys on the defensive side as well. They've had to move guys around there. On both sides, UTSA was the better team on both lines.
That's right.
Coming into the season, I didn't think that was going to be the case, right? Even when UTSA is fully healthy. Now, I did notice that it was the first game of the season, I think, that the same 5 offensive linemen played every snap of the game.
Right.
Which is incredible.
That's correct.
Was it the lineup that any of us would have thought of heading into the season? Hell no, absolutely not. But Walker Beatty continues to be a standout at left tackle. Guy's got such a bright career in front of him. I'm just so stoked for that guy, and glad he made the jump to offense. And he's so freaking good, dude. He's going to be good for a long time.
Dude, amazing.
Payne Hebert made his debut finally after missing the first 8 games of the season due to injury. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you forgot about him, that's a Northwestern transfer that I think Adrian and I, maybe we had Javi on. We were talking about him. We don't know what to expect because, Northwestern has been good, not great, I guess, while Hebert has been there. Never saw the field, right? He was coming in as a tackle, looked more like a guard to me. His high school film, I think he played guard. And they put him at guard because Terrell Haynes was out with an injury. And he looked the part, man. I mean, I got my first glance of him like in full pads on the sideline there in Birmingham. I was like, oh, that's a Big Ten offensive lineman right there. That's a hefty dude. And he was moving some bodies around, man. He can move pretty well for his size. He's not like the most athletic lineman you'll ever see or anything like that. Walker Beatty looks like he's moving in fast motion compared to Hebert. But he was able to get up to the next level. He moved some bodies around. If he finishes out the year at guard, I think UTSA is in a great spot. But I think the continuity there with those 5 guys sticking together for each snap made a big difference. And pass blocking was beautiful. Frank had a ton of time in the pocket.
A ton. The pass block and the rush and the run block equally as beautiful to watch. But clean pocket for Frank all game long. I think only took 1 sack. Just fantastic protection. It was evident from the very, very beginning. And the holes that were opening up for Kevorian Barnes and Brendan Brady.
Yeah.
Drive a truck.
And not only the holes, too. There were some plays where UAB's entire defense was 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. We've not seen that much from UTSA this year. We saw it a bit last year when Mekhi Hart was out there, but yeah, not so much this year. Now, on the 1 sack, we do got to say that was the botched snap.
That was the botched snap after the JT injury. Clark. Yeah. Which
I don't know if you want to get into now or save it for later.
Let's save it for a little bit.
I want to save it for later.
Yeah, let's get into the game a little bit more. I think it'd be important to do that. Yeah. So, okay. Head coach Brian Vincent, interim head coach Brian Vincent, tells stadium broadcast crew, we might not be playing for a championship this season, but we're treating this as our championship game, this being UTSA. That's right. UAB at home, prior to this game, only allowed 13.8 points per game. And
that's
only
crazy,
allowed
dude. That's crazy.
13.8 points per game at home. And only 2 turnovers. Not per game. Only 2 turnovers allowed at home. Period. The whole season. And you got Dylan Hopkins out on concussion protocol, but you've got San Antonio native, John Jay High School alum, Jacob Zeno making his second start. Baylor transfer. This guy is an ESPN top 300 4-star recruit coming out of John Jay High School, Jared. And I think he really showed his talent on the field. The guy improved as the game went on, but there was a point where Jacob Zeno kind of put the team on his back and really, really balled out. But I think the biggest key for UTSA was in this game was holding Dwayne McBride to only 141 yards rushing. one of our keys to the game was keeping him under 150. He had 2 big runs, but besides those 2 big runs, he was fairly limited. He only had 19 carries, which was actually his second lowest workload of the entire season. It's very, very interesting. But there was a lot of...
I guess that's because UTSA had a lead for almost all the game, right?
I mean, maybe so, but it was never a massive lead.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's your playmaker. I also saw Jermaine Brown getting a lot of run out there, but at the end of the day, I think they just called a hell of a lot more pass plays than they usually do. Jacob Zeno threw the ball 38 times.
Mm-hmm.
But Dwayne McBride, keeping him at bay, I think was absolutely tremendous in UTSA being able to win this game. Defense played phenomenal outside of their last 2 minutes. And a big reason why, Jared, this game was so close and not the boat race that it felt like it should have been while we were watching was, I know he was player of the week, but it's settling for 3 field goals on 3 consecutive drives. You got to get in the end zone a couple of those. I mean, UTSA leaves 9 to 12 points on the board after those 3 straight field goal kicks. And it's only a 13-0 lead, and it should be a 20-0 lead. And
that's a good point. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at the down and distance. Like, I don't remember feeling infuriated because I usually get so mad to settle for field goals. And I didn't remember being like that upset with them taking those points. I think also, I mean, there was such the threat of rain. It almost kind of felt like you got to get points while you can, because it just felt like it could be a downpour at any moment's notice, right? Mm-hmm. So that was something that I had considered briefly at the time. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, that's what football is all about, is like, how do you finish your drives, right? Any team in America can move the ball, between the 25 and the 25 a little bit, but what you do with those last couple of yards, if you're able to get 7 or 3 or 0 is what really differentiates really strong teams from bad or decent ones.
So on that first drive, it's whenever Kevorian Barnes was starting to heat up. And then we had a pass get broken up by Keandre Swoops on a 3rd and 3. Mm-hmm. And on the broadcast that showed 3rd and 1. I think a lot of people were curious to why not running it on 3rd and 1. It was a 3rd and 3, and Kevorian Barnes had ran the ball like the previous 3 plays in a row. So there's nothing wrong with that play call there. It was just a good play by Keandre Swoops that never broke it up.
Remember, was that the throw to Dishman over the middle that got broken up?
I don't believe that one went to Dishman.
I'm trying to remember which.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it was. I have the drive chart up here. I think you might be right, because that was the first field goal that we kicked. No, it was to Zakari.
Okay.
It was to Zakari, and this is prior to JT's injury.
Okay. Oh, so this is early. Gotcha. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I might be wrong on that. I think JT got injured at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And we totally saw the shift. Like when JT went out, we saw Zakari really just become the primary target, the first person that Frank was looking for, and totally showed out. Didn't miss a beat. People forget he was our top receiver last year. On the second drive, Frank got hurried on a 3rd and 2. I mean, totally like bombarded, but he did a good job of getting rid of the ball before getting the sack. I think it was Grayson Cash and Kyle Harrell both came in at him. And then the third drive, we had an open TKO, but Frank just overthrew it. It's potential interception in the back of the end zone. TKO, the heads up play to get in there and knock it out. Phenomenal.
I still think that was a pick, man. I think they got that call wrong.
Because he didn't really knock it out until he was out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Yeah. I mean, the defender got a foot down with, in my opinion, control of the ball. Now, I know in the NFL that you have to like complete the catch all the way through. I don't think they had that rule in college. I think like if you have possession, that's it, right? Like it's a catch, even if like you were to fumble it after you complete that catch. So I don't know, man.
And
at the time I was like, that was a pick. And
I was certain it was going to go to
and I was like, that's a pick. And then I came back home. I flew home and I watched the game and I said, that's still a pick. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
I thought they would at least certainly review it. They didn't even review it, but I thought at least it would give. And in the booth, they were like, that might be an interception. I think it's an interception. So yeah, everyone was kind of stumped on that one. But that was the sequence there. I mean, is after the first field goal, we got the awesome onside kick and recovery. And so it felt like we had all this juice going, like, got to get in the end zone and capitalize on that sort of momentum, man. But after the second field goal, UAB drives downfield, they score a touchdown, and it's a 1-possession game. After UTSA goes down and scores on 3 possessions. They scored 1 touchdown, it's 13-7. It's like, well.
And I think that was McBride's long run where he like did.
Yep. The 68-yarder.
No, that was his first run. And I had a hard time understanding how he scored so easily. So I went back and I watched that play a few times, and UTSA's alignment on defense was so bad. Like,
there was a big hole for McBride. He almost went untouched.
Yeah, it was like they were like in a dime coverage because I don't know if it was Ligon or Harmonson. One of them lined up so far outside the offensive tackles. It was like he was already out of the play before it even started. Like it was, I sometimes I see this defense and I just don't really know what they were intending to do. And it's hard to know if it was the call or the players messed up or what. But yeah, you can't only have one interior linebacker between the tackles with Dwayne McBride in the backfield. So no surprise he was able to house that one. But
dude nearly went untouched. I think he did like a slight little like push down to a falling UTSA defender. Yeah. Like it was there. But Jared, that 68 yards was damn near half of his total output in yardage for the game. So Dwayne McBride, I mean, besides that 68-yarder and then the other big run where he sat down, I think later in the third quarter, I mean, it was pretty solid. I mean, you really, really kept him at bay. Contained. Yep. Contained.
Yeah. And how funny was it that like our key of the game was like keep him on 150 yards and we win, and he had like 141 and UTSA escapes in double overtime. That was spot on.
If you listen to the podcast, you know what will happen in the game, folks. We have the keys every single week. I mean, I don't want to toot our own horn, Jared,
but we've been pretty spot on this year, I think.
Quite literally what we called for UTSA to do, and that's what we did, and we won. Hello.
Like, I think I had us winning by 4. You had us winning by 6 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Lower scores, but yes. Yes.
Well, of course. We're going to enjoy that while it lasts because next year we're probably way off.
Right. I think it also goes to show you, like, you never take the under with this freaking UTSA team. You got to be crazy to do that. I can't believe I would tell people to do that. And so, Jared, it's after the third field goal that UAB responds with, I think was really a crucial drive in this game. They do a 2-minute drill from their own 33-yard line. Almost as the half expires, I think UTSA got it back for like 15 seconds, but they convert on a 4th and 6. Zeno over the middle to Shropshire on a near interception from Pig Cage, gets tipped. And then you get a 27-yard run from Jermaine Brown. And quite honestly, dude, like Shropshire is pretty wide open on 2 potential touchdown passes, but Zeno has a misfire on the first one, and there's just a horrible miscommunication on the second one. But they should have scored a touchdown. Instead, they kick the field goal, but it goes into halftime 16-10. And it felt like after UTSA had really shown out on offense, I mean, to go at halftime 16-10, it felt like UAB had all the juice despite how well UTSA had played. It was ridiculous. I mean, dude, the very first drive of the game, UTSA goes 99.5 yards effortlessly. It's like, oh,
I like that you throw in the half yard from the false start on the 1 yard line.
which, by the way, Jared, it was the only offensive penalty of the game for UTSA.
That's insane.
Before we even snapped the ball on offense. Once we actually started playing offense, there were no penalties. Pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's impressive for sure.
Pretty phenomenal stuff. Yeah, 99.5, like effortlessly, dude. And so it just felt like the offense should have mollywopped this team after that 99.5-yard drive, dude. But we go into halftime with a 16-10 score after UAB goes downfield rather easily, and they just keep shooting themselves on their own foot. But I don't know, man. That was like a really deflating moment when they went down and were able to do that before the half. And then sure enough, they would sort of do the same thing again in the fourth quarter on that 2-minute drill. I gotta say, you know, a lot of the reporters and pundits, everyone says that UAB came back down 14 in 5 minutes. That's not true. UAB took the ball over with 8 minutes and 18 seconds left in the fourth quarter, down 31-17. It's not like it was like this back-to-back frenzy where they just scored 2 touchdowns in 5 minutes. They scored 2 touchdowns in 8.5 minutes. Let's relax, okay? I feel like that needs to be clarified. I'm seeing a lot of UTSA gave up a 14-point lead in 5 minutes. It's not what happened. They gave up a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. Still,
Yeah.
absolutely no excuse for it.
I think that UTSA went to like a prevent defense too quickly.
Yes.
On the drive that UAB cut it to a 1-score game. UTSA went to like double, maybe even triple high safety look, right? And they pretty much let Zeno pick them apart on those kind of medium range routes, and they just moved up and down the field so easily, right? I don't know if UTSA has the speed and safety and the recognition to be able to run that defense successfully. And really prevent yards from getting racked up. And that was just a super easy drive for UAB. And I didn't like the level of conservativeness. Did I say that right?
I think you said it right. The level of conservation.
The level of conservation. I don't know. I just thought it was like a little bit early in the game to change your defensive approach like that when it had been working like really well for UTSA up until that point. But then, UAB cuts it to a 1-score game, and then, UTSA falters on offense, whatever. We can talk about that as well. But then that last drive at the end of regulation, then instead of UTSA having these high safeties, they like leave Nick Troy Fortune in single press coverage against Trey Shropshire. I think part of this is a pre-snap adjustment on the part of Clifford Chapman that was wrong. So if you remember, UAB sent a receiver in motion and Shropshire went with him, and he went all the way to the middle of the field, leaving Fortune on an island with Shropshire. Huge mistake. I don't know if that, again, like what was Chapman taught to do that, to like just leave one of the best big play receivers in the entire country on an island when you're down 1-score game and the clock's running on the fourth quarter. Maybe, I don't know. But that was a huge mistake, and Chapman was just way out of position. Of course, you'd love to see Fortune be able to take him one-on-one, but something was off with him. I think he had his worst game of the season, if I had to guess.
Fair.
I don't know. Maybe he's got a little injury, something nagging at him. I don't know. But yeah, that if UTSA would have gone on to lose that game, that would have been a really, really bad mistake. Honestly, I think UTSA should have burned a timeout on that one, man.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I feel like everyone in the stadium knew where the ball was going to go, right?
Right. Yeah. 100%. Shropshire was on fire, man.
Yeah.
He was on fire. But Zeno also like really started to kind of ball at that point. I mean,
sure.
he got spunky, put the team on his back on that drive where they make it a 1-possession game. He goes,
I don't want to take credit away from UAB because they played really well those last stretches. Like you saw Zeno kind of blossom a little bit. Shropshire put it all together. He's kind of been up and down a little bit, I guess you could say. Ran a great route, great hands.
You definitely saw that 4-star talent that got Zeno to Baylor kind of come out in those last two drives. It's really, really impressive stuff for him to sort of muster up the improvement throughout that game and take over in that fourth quarter, man, in those last 8 minutes. Phenomenal work for UAB to go and to tie this game, but never should have happened. Absolutely never should have happened. So did you feel – defense got conservative on those two drives. Did you also feel like UTSA was too conservative on offense when they take over 1-possession lead with 4.5 minutes left to play? Yeah,
I think so. And I think part of that was them wanting to burn through UAB's timeouts.
Right.
I think that was a good strategy.
They did,
honestly, because UAB was so slow to get the plays in. Like if you go back and watch that last drive, like they were letting seconds tick off the clock like crazy.
And they didn't have any timeouts.
Plays in. They didn't have any timeouts. They couldn't get plays in. They could not resist the urge to run the ball. They got tackled in bounds. That took a lot of time off the clock. So literally, like if they didn't allow Trey Shropshire a 50-yard touchdown, that probably would have been the right decision to go conservative on offense, one out as much clock as you can, and let your defense win it, right? Because they couldn't settle for a field goal; they had to go all the way. So I don't know. I'm never super keen on going conservative on offense, but I don't think it was the worst time to do it, the worst opponent to do it against. I just think leaving Shropshire on that island was a really, really, really questionable idea. And man, that was tough. Yeah, it was. But And also, to be fair, I mean, UTSA was running the ball really, 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 really well.
Oh,
right.
We got to talk about the future at running back for the UTSA Roadrunners.
He's the present, bro.
The right now at running back for the Roadrunners, Kevorian Barnes. Are you kidding me? 16 carries, 114 yards, touchdown, 7.1 average yards per carry, 32 yard on the long run, which was quite literally 1 footstep away from being a 68-yard touchdown run to match Dwayne McBride's from the first quarter. I mean, 1 foot, Jared. But the guy, I mean, he's strong, he's fast, he's decisive, and he can hit those evasive moves in the open field. We saw Dwayne do the double spin and everyone was losing out. Yo, Kevorian Barnes has that exact same arsenal, man. And he's a complete package at running back. He's a complete package, man. We saw him get 20 carries for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns against FIU, but that was FIU. This was against the top total defense in Conference USA. Sure, they're kind of middle of the pack for rushing defense, but you know, you're talking about a defense that returns 9 starters and is the class of the conference, dude.
They had 2 amazing inside linebackers too. I was so impressed with how good UAB's linebackers were. You know, I was talking to my UAB buddies as I was sitting there watching the game. I'm like, man, a lot of these plays, I feel like UTSA would be getting 10 yards if you guys didn't have such great linebackers. Especially that LSU transfer. Was it Tyler Turner or something like that?
Yeah.
The guy was a stud, man. Anyways, Kevorian just has a different gear in him, and he shifts into it faster than we have ever seen from a running back at UTSA. He really reminds me of like all those running backs that UCF had through like their really great run through the AAC. Just so many guys that can just bounce outside and turn nothing into a 50-yard gain. Barnes has a capability, and it's not just that he's fast. I mean, like you said, he's such a tough runner. He runs into and through contact. And you didn't even mention his receiving. I mean, he caught that incredible touch pass from Frank into the blitz, you know, lofts a check down right over the defender's shoulder, right into Kevorian's hands, man. That was one of the prettiest plays that we've seen from the offense this year. And he took off like he was shot out of a cannon, man. Great, very tough catch. Very tough catch.
A thing of beauty. Yeah, the guy really is a complete package, man. Golly, really the complete package. And yeah, man, I think at one point, UAB really did not want to see Kevorian Barnes running at him.
No, my UAB friends I was watching the game with, they were watching Brady run, and they're like, "Man, if you guys had that number 31 in, I think this game would be out of hand right now."
Yo, yeah, and it was like, oh man.
But to that point, I do want to ask you, what is your ideal carry distribution between Brady and Barnes? Because I think we're both going to agree that we want both of them to get plenty of touches, right?
We want both of them to get touches. At this point, I'm ready for Kevorian to be the primary running back. I'm ready for Kevorian. I think he's proved on several individual moments, but after watching UAB, I mean, he has absolutely proved that he is the best running back on this roster. I get it. He's just a freshman, and I get it. Brennan Brady has put in his years, and Brennan Brady's still phenomenal, and Brennan Brady should still get a great workload, but it should be Brennan Brady relieving Kevorian Barnes and not the other way around.
I think like a 60-40 split between Barnes and Brady right now feels about right to me. I don't want to see Traylon Smith get another carry. He did have one good run.
He had a couple good runs. Yeah, I think there was a time where he got 2 or 3 handoffs there on a serious. But yeah, it's Kevorian all day. It's Kevorian for the next 4 years. Let him run, man. Let him run. Don't let your loyalty to experience and seniority be a detriment to this team. And I'm not saying by any means that Brennan Brady is a detriment to this team, but you've got to go with the better player being the primary target, and dude, you gotta let Kevorian run, dude. Let Kevorian run. Give him his touches, man. Give him his touches. Yeah, there were a couple moments there where I think it was later in the game where, there were a couple carries that went to Brady where I was like, man, Kevorian Barnes in there. It's a couple more yards on that, man.
Or a lot more. Who knows?
Yeah, or a lot more. Who knows, man? But yeah, you gotta go with him. and you got to go and stick with him all the way through. I mean, yeah, you can't let your loyalty get in the way of that. I don't want to get too off topic here, but like there was a time in the World Series where Lance McCullers is getting home run dingers blasted off of him. Dusty Baker doesn't pull him. He leaves him through all 5 innings, right? And it's like, what are you doing, right? And that was a point where he was kind of letting his loyalty to Lance get in the way of Astros success there. So maybe not the best comparison to draw there, but I'm saying,
yeah, I mean that Astros still won the World Series, right?
But you got to go Kevorian. You got to go with the guy who's getting it done. And I'm not saying that Brendan's not getting it done. Kevorian's just getting it done better. So let him run, baby. I like 60-40. I think that's fine. I think it should still be close to an even distribution, but Kevorian's got to be the one that gets more.
From Brendan's perspective too. I mean, Kevorian's legs are so much fresher because he doesn't have as many miles on his legs. As far as hits he's taken and carries he's gotten. So I think like that makes Brendan even better, right? If he's not getting the primary back and he's got more time to rest in between his carries.
Right. How much does that open up? Mm-hmm.
I think we've seen that in the second half of the last 2-3 games where, I guess it's just last 2 because he didn't really play against FIU, where he comes in and it's like a change of pace compared to Kevorian, and he's able to get, some yardage after contact that we haven't seen a whole lot from him throughout most of his career. Right. So I think there is a benefit to Brendan as well. And I think it makes him better.
Quality yards coming in. And it makes the defense have to react differently. Right. And adjust differently. And that's a great thing is that they are 2 very different skill set backs. And so you kind of have that yin and yang with them. And like what we're seeing, but Kevorian Barnes, just a stud, absolute stud. Unbelievable. We're probably getting too deep into UAB recap, and we probably do need to move it along at some point. But a lot of my friends have been in the camp of these Jeff Traylor high school recruits haven't really stepped up. They haven't really panned out. Starting to see that change, right? Yeah, you can kind of see the next generation stepping in week by week, which is pretty cool to see. They're coming up. They're moving up in the ranks.
Yeah.
So UAB ties at 31-31. We go to overtime. Jared, we saw the photos. I didn't know if it was real or not, but allegedly, and photo evidence proves it, apparently it wasn't Photoshopped, the sky turns orange, UTSA orange, glowing, howling, screaming, blood orange. It's not like a part of it. It's the whole sky, bro. Like orange clouds and everything. Like it was unbelievable. Like when I saw that photo, it did not look real. Jared, did the sky really turn blood orange when we got into overtime against UAB?
Adrian, the pictures don't even do it justice. It was one of the most majestic weather events I've ever seen in my life. It was insane. I mean, I had to take a selfie with the orange sky in the background, man. It was insane. It was like the big orange triangle of toughness just carries its way over northern Alabama. Divinely, it was divine, man. It was amazing, man. It really was. I could be a bit of a pessimistic guy, a skeptic, a misanthrope, whatever. You call me what you want, man. But
sure,
that did pull the heartstrings a little bit when you think about what JT went through early in the game and. Just all the emotion around this team, man. It was a crazy moment for sure. One that I'll remember for a while.
Oh my gosh. And then we win the overtime toss. Traylor takes a page out of Dana Holgerson's book and defers possession. UAB scores off bad. And I'm like, I don't know if that was the right call. Gosh. And also like their offense had all the juice at that point. Like they had so much momentum. So you just kind of let them keep carrying that momentum. I don't know if I really agreed with that, but neither here or there. First overtime kind of goes through and we're able to match them on the touchdown. Then we get first possession, second overtime. We score rather easily. And then Jared, probably the most embarrassing play call I think I've ever seen in the Jeff Traylor era.
I think it was the worst play call of the season for sure.
On the 2-point conversion, we go circus carnival reverse wide receiver. What in the hell was that?
God, man, I don't even know what to say. Like that play call is fine if you're in the middle of the field and like you catch them off guard. but you don't have much room to work with on a 2-point conversion, right? I mean, most plays, I think Josh was the one who got the ball in the sweep, right? Most plays, he's probably going to have some room to take off and get a couple of yards and make it a positive play, right? Or whatever. But when you're stacked up on the goal line and the defense has all their guys right there, a couple of yards away from the line of scrimmage, it made no sense at all. UTSA have been moving the ball so well, so efficiently all game. It was so baffling to me. I don't even know what to say, man.
I don't know what the hell happened there, man. It was like we just got way in over our heads. I don't know. We were trying to pull out all the stops like unnecessarily, but to make that call on a 2-point conversion right there at the goal line, horrendous. You saw it happening in real time, and I just wanted to like throw whatever was in my hand at the TV. It was like a sense of disbelief seeing it play out, right? Infuriating disbelief. Yes. I was shocked and almost cost us a game. Very well could have cost us.
It could have. Absolutely could have. Yeah. I mean, if Josh would have thrown the ball, it probably got picked.
Oh, yeah. And he was thinking about it at one point. And I was like, don't. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't have really changed the outcome of the game, right? Because
it was already a broken play.
It's not like they would have taken 110 yards back or whatever, but
sure.
Just a really baffling decision from a staff that has been so good for calling plays this year, which makes it even worse. If it was like they make these dumb decisions all the time, you can kind of swallow that pill and move on with your life. But it's such a critical moment to make what I think is the worst call of the year. It was tough, man.
So uncharacteristic, man. So uncharacteristic.
I'm just really glad that UTSA's players are good enough that they can overcome those kind of things. Not that you expect any coaching staff to be perfect. I mean, look at what is going on in Alabama with Nick Saban right now. But man, that one hurt, dude. That was hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
But defense figures it out finally in the second overtime. It gets a stop, right?
Yep.
Thankfully. So, all right. JT Clark. I think we can get to him now.
I guess, first of all, man, it couldn't happen to a better guy. Definitely one of the best dudes on this roster. One of the most thoughtful, empathetic, and intelligent players I've ever seen come through UTSA. And I'm not just saying that because of what happened last week. This guy has impressed me so much. And he's had a lot of money on the line this year, man. I mean, that's the worst part to me is I don't want to speak in the past tense because I know that he's completely capable of coming back from this and being an even better player and going on and doing incredible things. But he was due for a paycheck this year. I mean, he was ready to go to the league, and there's no doubt this is going to set him back.
It's a 3rd, 4th round pick, automatic for sure. I mean, it was going to happen. It was going to happen.
High up there. Yeah. I absolutely agree. Oh yeah, for sure. He was going to show out, at the combine, and I guess he wouldn't have gone to the Senior Bowl because he would have left early. But man, it's brutal. It's brutal. I have a lump in my throat right now.
With all of the injuries that happened for this team all year long, I mean, this one really hurts the most. It was just. And Coach Traylor said early in the season, he feels like every single time this team starts to get healthy, something else happens. Someone else goes down. And here you have 5 offensive linemen playing every single snap, the healthiest offensive line you had all year. Sure enough, man, horrible, horrific buckle of the knee. I mean, thing totally snaps, and he gets this 9-yard catch, his first catch of the game. 9 yards on the sideline, and it was really ugly. He kind of ducked under the defender, gets pulled over, and his leg just locks, man. And you knew it right off bat. Golly. And Traylor's come out and said it was ACL damage. I think a lot of people thought it was a broken leg. I think today in the round table, he confirmed it was ligament damage, ACL injury. He'll be having surgery this week. Really, really tough to see. What does this do to this offense? What does JT Clark's absence do to this offense as they make their run to defending the conference title this month?
I don't know if it changes much strategically for UTSA. I think Tyke just steps in and does a phenomenal job, right? I think that, based off some of the quotes we've heard from Coach Traylor, it sounds like Tyke kind of became a little lackadaisical because those big 3 receivers are the leaders of the team.
Checked out a little bit. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's understandable, right? To be fair.
Snaps go down. You're not getting as much time.
Yeah, they're not even rotating them in, right? You can't, those guys are so good, you can't take them off the field. But I really think that Tyke's going to step up and he's going to claim this moment, right? I think that he's going to do it for his team and for himself. And, I still think like he's caught, I think 7 touchdowns through his career at UTSA. I think he can get to 10 or 11 before the end of this year, right? Sure. If not more. And I still think that he's as talented as most of the receivers in this conference, man.
That's right.
I mean, I think if you gave him the number of snaps that Shropshire gets, I think Tyke can do some of the same stuff, man.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And every school in the country wanted him when he was a junior in high school. He's got that natural ability. He's got the height. He's in good shape right now. So I don't think it's going to change much. I think Tyke just steps in as that X receiver. I think he does a really good job. I think you might see some more 12 personnel. Dishman has played well. Oscar obviously is incredible. Yep. And I need to go and look at the participation chart, but I think Cameron Cooper and Houston Thomas can both play several more games and not use their red shirt up, right? So you might see those guys rotate in and UTSA plays more 12 personnel. I think the biggest difference you're going to see is you're going to see less of those like fade route jump balls in the end zone.
Sure.
I guess I should say I hope that we see less of those
but the leaping grab ability, that's JT.
Right. I mean, the other guys can do it, but it is nowhere near as automatic as it is when JT's up there. Yeah. So I hope that they don't just try to keep forcing that to Zachary and Josh, for as great as they are. They can't do that back corner of the end zone leaping catch JT anywhere near as good as JT.
He quite literally hovers in the air for an extra half second. I don't know how he does it, but he floats up there, man. Yeah. He really floats up there. Yeah. No one else has that leaping grab ability. And that's something that Frank has been so conditioned to do. I think it's got to be up to Frank to be able to have that mental switch to say, all right, we've got to stop throwing those corner fade routes to a jumping JT Clark. We've got to change how we're doing it. And and then to that point, Jared, I think Zachary Franklin reassumes the number 1 spot. We kind of already saw him do that. And even before JT Clark went down, he has the straight moss on the 99-yard drive over Colby Dempsey in the end zone. Beautiful catch, but not one of those high flying leaping ones like we say that JT Clark does, but unbelievable hands from Zachary Franklin. And, people forget this guy was a primary target last season, had 1,000 yards last season, 1,027 yards. He had 7 catches, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns against UAB. You're going to see Frank's eyes go to Zachary Franklin first.
Maybe here's a better way to answer the original question. I think UTSA's offense just starts to look a lot more like they did last year.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because we've already seen the run pass snap distribution start to swing back towards the run.
Sure have.
Kevorian right now is running the ball as well as Sincere did last year, if not better. Hot take. Offensive line is getting better and better every week. They probably play their best game of the year against UAB.
Yeah, 100% by a mile.
Yeah.
And getting tight ends more involved, baby. So,
yeah.
And let's not forget about the San Antonio car bomb, Oscar Cardenas. Dude,
where did they get that one from?
I have no idea. But unbelievable catch and run down the stream with a grown man, stiff arm, dude. Ragdolls Jalen Key, throws him to the floor like just a freaking, oh my gosh, man, like a child. Dude, after that, I kid you not, UAB defenders wanted no part of Oscar Cardenas, did not want to touch him, didn't want to get near. And they're like looking at each other as he was running downfield, like, are you going to tackle him? I'm not going to tackle him.
I want to go off topic with the whole San Antonio car bomb thing so bad, but we're already like 50 minutes into this podcast. I'm just
maybe on the Patreon.
I'm gonna move on. So 2 things that I want to call out before we wrap up this recap. First of all, underappreciated moment of the game. Frank Harris jumping out and throwing a big block for Kevorian Barnes on one of Barnes' long runs.
Oh, good call.
On the far sideline. Yeah. That was nice, man. That was a nice block from Frank, man. You love to see it, dude. Just selfless, giving up for the team. And delivering a great block, looking good while doing it, right? For a former basketball player, He throws some blocks, man. It's pretty tough.
Frank likes the contact, man. He embraces
it. Yeah, he does. He leans into it.
We know he doesn't slide.
Lastly, we talked a bit about how I felt UTSA really dominated the trenches and really won the game in the trenches where they're always won or lost. But I specifically want to call out once again how freaking good Joe Evans is, man. Nice. He gets like no publicity. Even the commentators rarely talk about him. Like sometimes they'll break a play down after it and they go back and they look at it. And Joe Evans is just like dominating the whole offensive line. And like they don't even circle him with a yellow marker. They don't talk about it at all. This guy is a beast. I don't know if he's going to get like all conference honors. He's one of the most dominating players in this conference right now when he's healthy. And I just feel like he's not getting the love that he deserves. He's unblockable right now. And even successful plays with the offense, Joe Evans blows up. And sometimes the offense, they just get lucky. They have a great play, whatever. This guy is on fire right now. And coming into games, Louisiana Tech might have the worst offensive line in the conference. He's going to do some damage, man. Keep an eye out, dude. Just start watching him. Start watching him. Like pick him out pre-snap and watch what he does every single snap. And he dominates. He just hands it to kids. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Nice. I have one more to add to that list. The weather did not bother this team whatsoever. The conditions were irrelevant. This is a team that went up to Denton last season in cold, wet conditions and got completely spanked and completely checked out. This was a nasty, wet, windy game. Guys had no ponchos. Guys had no sleeves. Frank, the ball did not slip out of his hand but one time. And there was more of effect on this team emotionally from JT's injury than the weather conditions affected them. So just phenomenal condition play. The trapezoid traveled, baby. Ready for them elements, dude.
Oh, man. I forgot about the trapezoid. I'm glad you brought that one back.
Yeah. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, Jared's fourth pillar, embracing the conditions.
Yeah, they did that. I mean, the weather was nowhere near as bad as the North Texas game last year, but it was still bad enough that I think it could have affected a less mentally prepared team. So I agree. I really want to commend Coach Traylor and the staff for getting UTSA ready to roll. And I was just so relieved when they came out of the tunnel with no ponchos on. That was nice to see.
Beauty.
All right, we need to make up for lost time. I don't care if you got more topics. I'm moving us forward here. Sorry,
we gotta go.
Great game, championship game. Did we even talk about Brian Vincent saying this is a champ? Oh yeah, we did.
We started with that. Yeah.
I think it did a great job preparing UTSA for the next championship game. God willing. But shout out to our Patreon donors as always. I let you guys down. Really, Southwest Airlines let you guys down. I didn't do a film breakdown for like the first time in, I don't know, 2-3 seasons.
2-3 seasons, bro. Yeah.
All right. I didn't get home until like 11:15, 11:30 last night. It couldn't have happened. I'm sorry, guys.
But we made up for it with an hour-long recap. Hello. Still get your fill, baby.
And it was one of our most like analytical game recaps ever too. So, I mean, I hope you guys enjoy that. Anyways, thank you to our big money donors, Ben Tovar, Rick Cortez of Reality Road Grillers, the Bunch family, Zach Espedicueta, and the San Antonio Podcast Network. Thank you to Brandon Padron. And thank you, as always, to our Board of Trustees members, Digiteek, John Alwell, Lino Perez of Los Dos Rowdy Tailgating, Gary and Ruben representing the UTSA Bird Gang Tailgate, Ray Redding and Meet Me Apparel, Brandon Grill, the Grill Realty Group, and Andy Elizalde and the Proficient Benefit Solutions. Thank you. And if you guys are going to be in San Antonio for the game this week, be sure to check out those amazing tailgates. All of them are top notch. They get our greatest recommendation. And it's not just because they pay us to say that. They truly are the best in the business. And let me tell you, man, I went and checked out those Birmingham tailgates, buddy. And
lacking.
That's some D2 tailgates compared to what we got cooking in San Antonio, man. So thank you to all those tailgaters that continue to show up and show out week in and week out, man. Appreciate all that you guys do.
My dogs. Well, on that note, how was the trip to Birmingham, Jared?
Oh, yeah, that was an intentionally great transition, man. You do the 199 of these suckers and you start to get some things down. The trip was amazing, dude. I mean, I speak all the time of how fond I am of Birmingham, and I just fell more in love with that city on this trip, man.
Wow.
It's so great. I mean, the city, Feels even more revitalized, I think, than the last time I was there in 2018. The downtown was a little bit busier the last time. Awesome new park, the new baseball stadium I got to check out. It was really cool. I think it was under construction when I was there first or something like that. It was great. I made mention on the last podcast that like this band I really want to see on tour skipped Houston, having him playing in Birmingham on Friday night. Amazing show, dude. It was so good. So freaking good. They did a cover of Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys. Woo!
Fire.
I got to see so many UAB homies, all the UAB homies, really, man. Shout out to Dave, Brad, John, his whole family, Courtney. I don't know, man. I'm sure
you got to go down to the lab and everything, bro. That looks so sweet.
Oh, Mom's Basement? Yeah.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Dude, I got to get you out there, man. Come on, bro.
I know.
It's your singing.
I know. This was the season I wanted to go to, man. Just got too busy.
No, I mean, the weather did put a damper on it, but I will say, since obviously most of our listeners have not been to Protective Stadium yet, because I sure as hell didn't see a whole lot of you guys there. I did see Farah and Ariana, so it was great to see them. A couple of others as well, but Caleb, yeah, shout out. But it was a really cool setup. Like the tailgating was bad. I think that's just like UAB doesn't have a tailgate culture for whatever reason. Sure. But that area is super cool. I described it to my fiance today as like if UTSA had a 50K stadium in La Cantera.
Oh.
So like there aren't that many like stores like shopping mall set up, but like kind of like places like Yard House and
right.
There's a Tejas de Brazil right there.
Right.
It's also next to a basketball arena. There's a Top Golf on the other side. So like there's all that stuff right there. So close to downtown. I took like a scooter from my hotel, really easy to get in and out of, man. And it was great. And like, it was kind of nice. They had all that because obviously like people weren't tailgating. You don't want to be out in the rain and the weather. So being able to post up the spot that I spent the most time at was like a Pluckers, but like imagine like a Pluckers that focused on burgers more than wings. So that was a great spot and it was great, man. Really good setup. They've got a great deal there in Birmingham. I don't know if I'd ever said this on a podcast, but like I hadn't been too impressed with Protective Stadium, like on TV broadcasts, because it just looks kind of generic. Like it doesn't have a whole lot of life to it.
Sure.
When you see it on TV, but it was a really nice stadium in person. Felt a lot like Apogee, I think, like just really nice modern amenities, very spacious,
clean layout.
Yeah, and like there were like nice cushioned chairback seats all over the stadium.
Ooh,
so that was really, really nice. So all in all, man, fantastic trip. I thanks to all the UAB fans that welcomed and embraced me, and had a great time, man. And I'm going to continue trying to beg and plead people to get out to Birmingham. I think it's one of the most underrated destinations in America, man. It's an amazing time.
Nice, man. That is incredible. And did you go to the game with the UAB homies? Is that who you were sitting with and amongst?
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. You mentioned, you don't think too many UTSA fans have been to the Protective Stadium yet. I'm not sure if a lot of UAB fans have been either watching that broadcast.
Yeah, the attendance was pretty bad. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against them because the weather forecast was really gnarly.
Sure.
It was really, really bad. Right. So, I mean, I get it. But yeah, I mean, the only other time that we played in Protective State, the 2020 game, Protective would have been open, right? But it was COVID year.
It opened in 2021.
Okay. So for sure, if you weren't at the game last week, you've never been. So really cool, man. Definitely check it out. Hopefully we'll be playing them consistently in the American. We'll have to see how the scheduling works out, but
yes,
it was sweet. And I think there was actually a hotel right next to the stadium.
Oh man, that's killer.
Right outside of it,
Right.
So, yeah, fantastic stuff. It would be like I think the Star in Frisco is a pretty good comparison.
So
it's like it has its own ecosystem
facility. Yeah. I see what you're saying, dude. That is amazing, man. That is incredible. Really cool. Really cool stuff. No pineapple cocktail though at Protective.
No, and it's so funny. So many people saw me and said that. They're like, "Oh, sorry, you can't get your pineapple." This
iconic. It's iconic.
Yeah. Oh, that's one complaint I'll levy against the stadium. And maybe I had bad luck. Maybe it's because I was on the visitor side, but the beer selection was really lacking. In fact, the lady that was working the stand that I stopped at, she was like, which one of these beers do you think is the premium one? And it was a Michelob and a Bud Light, I think. I was like, honestly, ma'am, I don't think either of them are.
None of the above.
So don't worry. I only paid $11 for my Michelob instead of 13.
Oh man, dude. Holy cow. Well, yes, AAC, please make this matchup.
Everything about that was Power Six worthy, with the exception of the tailgates and obviously the attendance and the weather.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right, well, let's do a quick Cumbia break, and then let's see how quickly we can preview Louisiana Tech without making this a 2-hour podcast. All right, guys, welcome back to our Louisiana Tech preview. It's kind of weird to me to see a 3-6 record next to the Louisiana Tech Bulldog team, right? It takes some getting used to.
Strange.
And I totally mean that as a compliment to the Bulldogs program, not like to talk down on the year they're having. We're just not really accustomed to their success, right?
We've been accustomed to Louisiana Tech being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that we've always had to more or less fear on the schedule. I think it's a fair word to use. We've always kind of been scared of the LA Tech matchup for as far back as I can remember. But yeah, Jared, this year, UTSA, 18-point favorites right now. Mm-hmm. And Louisiana Tech.
19 and a half, I think it was, 20.
Yep. 3 possession. And you look at Louisiana Tech's win-loss record. They've had a couple of tough losses, but a couple that, I shouldn't say a couple, a lot of them that were just, I mean, they got their butts kicked. They've gotten their butts kicked a lot this year, man.
The Rice game's probably the one they're going to want back the most. I think they lost that one in double overtime. They had a big lead at one point in that game. I don't remember how early or late that was. But yeah, definitely a team that's going through a identity change. You know, Sonny Cumbie comes in as a new head coach, and of course he wants to implement the air raid that, you know, he's run his whole career. So big difference, I think, from what Louisiana Tech was running in the past.
What their identity has always been. Yeah.
I mean, they've been a strong running team, even when they didn't have great running backs. I mean, there was that one year, I think like Boston Scott, I think was his name, was his primary back. He was only like 5'7", you know, and he still was amazing. Right. So big change from them in that regard. And I don't think they fully have the personnel that they need to run that offense just yet. I think they're still building towards that. They've got some young guys that look like they're going to be a good fit, but, you know, they're still gaining experience of putting it all together. And then, of course, I mean, the major thing we're going to talk about is all the injuries they've had, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You know, I think Parker McNeil got hurt twice this year. Matthew Downing, I think he was a TCU transfer. He went down for the year pretty early in the season. So it's been a rotating door for them at quarterback, which, you know, it's hard for any offense, but especially for an air raid where like all the plays are so timing focused and like you have to have such a great chemistry with your receivers. To have a constant revolving door, the quarterback position for an air raid is even worse than if you're, you know, a regular spread team or, you know, a power run team or whatever you want to be. So I think that's the two main issues that have worked against them is, you know, changing to this new system, this new philosophy. And then, of course, the injuries of the quarterback position are a huge challenge.
I mean, Skip Holtz was at the helm for 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah, he was like one of the most tenured coaches in America.
Yeah, man. And I mean, you know, whole identity built around Skip Holtz style. And so, yeah, Sonny Cumbie comes in and really changes the entire dynamic of how LA Tech operates as a football team. And it'll be really interesting to see if his style can work out there and if it'll be sustainable there. I think the jury is definitely still out on, or there's going to be out on that for a little while.
Sure.
And
I'll say this, he's recruiting really well to Ruston right now.
Okay.
I think they might have not the highest like per recruit average, but like the highest like recruiting total for their class in Conference USA right now, above UTSA.
Okay. Wow.
So I mean, if they're able to get that kind of talent to commit and stick and rust, and obviously Liberty is going to be a problem for them in the Duke Conference USA, but outside of that, I mean, they should have a pretty massive talent advantage over the rest of that conference. So we'll see how it pans out. But I mean, like we saw with Will Healy at Charlotte, you know, it's not uncommon for a new coach to bring a whole lot of energy, sign an amazing class. You don't win a lot of games. It's hard to sustain that. Right. So, definitely. You know, I think it's fair to say the jury's still out.
So Louisiana Tech, 10th in Conference USA in scoring defense, 10th in Conference USA in total defense. Dude, really not a lot good going on for Louisiana Tech defensively.
No. I will call out one positive thing for them, but at first I want to say that they also suffered a really, really, really tough draw in the injury department on defense. They had an inside linebacker, Tyler Grubbs, that I think he was a freshman All-American, if I remember correctly. Definitely an all-conference talent, Conference USA level. I don't know if he played a game this year. He got hurt really early. And I mean, that was a heartbeat of their defense. He's a really special player. Past that, man, it's not a lot, dude. It's not a lot. But the one guy that I want to call out, and on a positive note, Miles Brooks, the defensive back that's played great for them this year. He's got 24 tackles in the year, 3 interceptions. I think he actually had 2 last week against Middle Tennessee. Ball hawk, man. Absolute ball hawk. His 2 picks, man, his anticipation for where the ball was going to go is great. Like, sure, Chase Cunningham, like, kind of stared down the receiver or whatever. But a lot of quarterbacks in college do that. And you don't see a whole lot of safeties that can step up and actually go and grab that ball up out of the air. So really, really good player for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Grubbs played in 5 games this season before going out. Definitely the heartbeat where they've really been struggling. And quite honestly, they haven't been terrible against the pass, but they are dead last in rushing defense in CUSA. 234 rushing yards given up each week.
They are not a very physical defense. Their defensive linemen and their linebackers do not get off blocks like whatsoever. They are very slow to swarm to the ball, if they swarm to the ball at all. Hate to say it, man, they just look like a stereotypical air raid defense that just doesn't bring a whole lot of heat. I feel like these words are going to come back and bite me, and they're going to have the best defensive performance of the year against UTSA. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a whole lot of Louisiana Tech this year, because they haven't been that great. But when I do tune in, something that really pops out at me is like they really let a lot of running backs run right past them without making much of an effort to get over and plug that hole or bring some contact. They seem to just like let the blockers latch onto them, and seems like a lot of light tackle boxes too. Like, I don't know if they play with like high coverage a lot. But yeah, I've not been impressed whatsoever with their defensive front seven.
And their defensive ability with passing, is they're not that bad passing wise, but is that more just so the effect of who they played this season, more so because teams have so much success rushing the ball, or is it because they've got some decent cornerback coverage?
They do have some decent cornerback coverage. We did talk about Miles Brooks, of course.
Yeah.
Willie Roberts is pretty solid for them as well. BJ Williamson is a guy who's been a good player for them for a while now. He continues to excel in coverage. So, I mean, I think they do have some good players in that back end. Some of it might be schematic. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Maybe part of it is the teams run over them so well that they don't
pass the ball as much.
They don't pass the ball as much. Yeah, I don't know. Could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to gravitate towards. Yeah, so BJ Williamson has been an absolute stud. 35 solo tackles on the year, 52 total. And then the guy that's kind of taken over at linebacker position has been Hugh Davis. What about offensively? Jared, I mean, they're able to put up a little bit of output. I think they're averaging 32 points per game. So
their offense isn't bad.
They put points on the board. Is that success on the air raid side?
Yeah. I mean, I probably have to dig into the stats a little bit more than I have been able to this week to confirm this. But based off what I've seen, it seems like their offense can struggle a little bit with consistently moving the ball up and down the field, but they hit on some really big, well-designed plays. They do have some really good athletes on their offense as well. I think the guy that's really going to stand out is wide receiver Trey Harris. Not to be confused with their other receiver, Smoke Harris.
Smoke Harris, yeah.
No, think of it as Trey Harris is the tall one. Smoke Harris is the short and fast one.
Okay.
But Trey Harris has had a great year this year. Really good player. He can go up and get the ball against pretty much any defender. Really, really, really solid player. And they have a running back who's been great as well, Marquise Crosby. I don't know if there's any one thing that he particularly excels in, but, he's one of the better running backs that, I've seen in an air raid this year. It's usually a weak spot for those teams. If you think of like Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky as two air raid teams in Conference USA, they never really have a back that like really excels and puts up a ton of yardage, but Crosby's that guy for Louisiana Tech in their air raid. So definitely commendable on his part.
Crosby's just a freshman too.
Yeah.
From Hattiesburg, ironically enough.
Really? Oh, interesting. I know that.
Yeah.
Hey, man, could have been a super back.
And then, Trey Harris, Smoke Harris, 49 and 48 receptions on the season, respectively, right? Yep. So they've just been all over the place, but Trey Harris definitely has more of a big playability.
They've got a good tight end as well. Griffin Hebert, I think he did some good things this year. I'm not sure how he's done this year. I haven't heard a whole lot about him this year, but I know he's a solid tight end for him overall.
No, absolutely. Yeah, he's got 21 receptions on the year, but he's averaging 19 yards per catch. Yeah, pretty incredible. Okay, how do we like then Parker McNeil at quarterback?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. He's a tall guy. I think he's like 6'6" or something like that.
Holy cow.
Their offensive line is really terrible, but when they do give him time to sit back in the pocket, he can make some beautiful throws, and he can really get the ball downfield to Trey Harris when given time. So I think that's the main thing, is just making sure he can't sit back there like a statue and use his big wingspan to just, loft the ball over the defense.
Right.
But he's a good, solid player. I think accuracy has been an issue a little bit. Obviously it hurts, like I said earlier, the consistency of, coming in and out. I think he's missed several games this year. But he's a decent quarterback. I mean, I think he's comparable to like a Gavin Harris at UTEP, to give a good comparison.
Yeah. 8 interceptions on the season. Mm-hmm. Completing 57.5% of his throws. He's pretty reliable, but by no means like a total world beater or anything like that.
No. Yeah. But I mean, he's not bad either.
No,
it's really that offensive line that holds him back on offense.
Dude, 26 sacks allowed on the season for UAB's offensive line. Ooh, that's ugly. That is ugly.
And their offensive line's usually so freaking good, man. Rough. Real rough.
So, 26 allowed, only to be beat by 30 sacks allowed from Charlotte on the year. But that's in one more game than Louisiana Tech has played. So if UTSA can get to McNeil 4 times, very well possible at this point, averaging about 3 sacks per game, damn near. So it's been ugly for that offensive line, really ugly. So is that poised for Trey Moore and Corey Mayfield, Taylor Brothers go out there and have a total field day?
Yeah,
is that what you're envisioning?
I think Nick Booker-Brown in particular is going to have a really tremendous showing.
Nice.
They should be able to tee off on these guys, man. It's yikes. It's real yikes. I think I said the same thing going into the Middle Tennessee game, and that was like UTSA's kind of coming out party for their pass rush. So we'll see if UTSA can do the same this week against probably a worse offensive line than Middle Tennessee even had.
You see Lamont McDougal and Booker Brown just out there eating. Let's go.
I think that's the goal. That's the goal.
So, we're not really too worried about any surprises here. Is that fair to say?
Man, I think Sonny Cumbie's a great coach. I mean, I think he can draw it up with the best of them. But probably the first time, maybe last year, there's a really big talent gap between these two programs right now. Mm-hmm. Really big. So, I mean, I can definitely see a situation. I mean, like we've seen UTSA do this so many times this year. You can't be surprised if Louisiana Tech just hangs tight for 3 quarters and UTSA slowly pulls away at the end. And wins by a 2-score margin that's not as convincing as one would hope. You know what I mean? I think that can happen, sure. But the way that UTSA's running game is playing right now with their offensive line, I use the word like getting healthier, but really I think it's like the reserves just getting more experience and getting coached up.
Sure.
Kevorian Barnes emerging. I think that's going to put UTSA in a really, really good position, right, to just maintain tempo, control, time of possession, and come away with a pretty convincing victory.
Yeah, I agree. Also, this game's in the Alamodome. We don't have to go to Ruston.
Yeah, losing 0-5 on the year.
0-5 on the road. Yep. That's right. And
you might be looking at their result against Middle Tennessee last week and thinking like, oh, this team had their best game of the year last week. I guess that's probably still true because their only other big win was against SFA, who has struggled more than expected this year at the FCS level. But Middle Tennessee did commit 5 turnovers in that game. So take that into consideration when looking at that score.
Yeah.
No, some of it is Miles Brooks making some great plays and picking off some throws, but definitely some bad luck from the Blue Raiders perspective to cough up 5 turnovers like that.
Not going to happen on Frank Harris's offense. Not going to see a 5 turnover game.
It would be shocking for sure.
Yeah. I'm in agreement. Roadrunners get out of this one pretty handily. And to your point that you were just making, Jared, I think Jeff Traylor said something along the lines of he saw the results from WKU 59-7 over Charlotte and asked himself, man, that must be nice. I wonder what that feels like. And he had a point where we were up 14 points and thought maybe we'll win one by more than one possession. Can't seem to happen for this team. That's
credit to UAB though, man. I thought for sure they were going to give up.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of UAB did, but Jacob Zeno did not. I think he wanted that chance against San Antonio, and I think then they kind of fed into that momentum. But
it at that point in time when UTSA went up 2 scores in the fourth quarter, it was a fair assessment to say that UAB season was over, that Bryant Vincent's career as a head coach was over. They didn't give up, man. They fought to the end, forced double overtime. Got to hand it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the UTSA not being able to win a game by more than one possession is a conversation for another day, but certainly one that's worth having, I think, at this point. After 2 seasons of this. Golly.
Sure. Yeah.
Losing years off my life, Jared. What do you got? Do you have more than one possession on the final score?
I do. I think something like UTSA 45, Louisiana Tech 24 sounds about good to me.
Well, okay. Yeah. I think they do have a point output potential there. So I think that's fair. Yeah. You could give me UTSA 38, Louisiana Tech 24.
14-point differential.
Two score. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll give Parker McNeil some credit, and I'll give Cumbie some credit on the air raid. They've been putting points up. That defense is so bad, though, man. Defense is so bad.
Yeah, it really is, man. Yeah, and UTSA's secondary has been plenty suspect, right? So I can totally see them having some pretty easy touchdown throws against this UTSA secondary. And, something we didn't mention is Kelechi Nwachukwu was out with an injury last week. So that put UTSA down to just Ken Robinson, who converted from cornerback just this season, starting at strong safety.
True.
Yeah, strong safety.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember how to, Javon DeBon. Is that how you pronounce his name? Yeah. Really seeing his first meaningful minutes. He's played a little bit in mop-up duty. He actually played pretty well. So that was nice to see, but definitely a guy way deep on the depth chart. So if Kelechi's not back this week, he was dressed for UAB. He did travel. But if he's not back for this week, they're really going to be stretched thin at depth of that strong safety position. So definitely something to keep an eye out for against a team that has one of the best play callers and play design air raid guys in the business calling the plays over there.
And even with as bad as this offense is, even with as bad as their defense is, I just still can't trust UTSA. I know Vegas has an 18-point spread. I just can't see this team going and winning by 18 points against any
That's fair, man. I cannot hold that against you. There, and to be fair, like the evidence is on your side from what we see.
Yeah. While we should be able to do that on paper, it's not the way this team plays, man.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Maybe it's a whole another podcast topic that we do later down the line.
Yeah, but I like it.
Anything else you want to hit on in this very long podcast?
No. I think
we'll have mercy on the listeners, but we will have another podcast for them this week if they're a Patreon subscriber. So we'll be joined once again by our new Alamodome Audible intern. Shout out to Clayton CJ Benavides, doing a great job. So we are going to talk about UTSA women's soccer, incredible run through the Conference USA tournament.
Yes.
Earning the auto bid to the NCAA tournament, where they will be facing TCU. Great regional matchup.
Wow.
Well, I've seen it against 12 seed. Very exciting. We'll also talk about, and this is a topic I'm going to nerd out on. There are a lot of open coaching jobs in the American Athletic Conference, which UTSA will be joining next year. So we're going to talk about those, kind of weigh the pros and cons of each, see how they compare, and then also see if maybe any other jobs are going to open up and how they stack up as well. So I think that'd be a good way to get to know the conference a little bit better as we head into it. And then also start thinking about where UTSA stands as a program right now, kind of relative to its peers.
Time to start having that conversation, Jared. Absolutely. Time to start having that conversation.
I mean, hopefully we're not forced to have it, if you catch my drift, but it's good to know where you stand at all times. You know what I'm saying? You got to know your market. You got to know your market value, brother.
Yeah, 100%. Well, as long as we're not talking about open coaching jobs at UTSA, talking about the head coach, we might have some assistant positions certainly that are going to need to be filled in and reevaluated. We'll see.
Man, you think Nick Graham's you think Nick Graham's stock is piling up with Tariq Woolen playing the way he is in the NFL right now?
Dude,
Corey Mayfield playing the way he is right now for UTSA.
Dude, yeah, man. And we'll see if UTSA decides to continue the promote from within strategy, or if they go outside of the program to find some of those replacements. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves there, but yeah, good stuff. I like to talk the macros of football just as much as the X's and O's these days. So I think it'll be a fun discussion.
Beauty.
So yeah, check out alamodomeaudible.com if you want more information on how to become a premium Patreon subscriber.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys back later this week with that episode. And also shout out to men and women's basketball. Good start
on their seasons tonight. Yeah, starting their seasons.
Ladies didn't get the win, but they were 25 points better against SFA this year than they were last year. And I will take that to the bank.
Incredible. And also, folks, please, if you're a big fan of the podcast, have been listening, send us a voice memo for episode 200.
Yes, please do. If you want to do it and you don't know how, shoot us a message. We'll walk you through it. But thanks in advance to anyone who participates, and we'll work as many of them into the podcast next week as possible.